we have Ira Seidman, and then we had a cancellation from Kwanda Francis, but we have a statement from her that one of us will read to close out the evening. But Ira, I couldn't find a transportation section in your policy stuff, but so, just hit us hard with your vision for bikes in New York City.
Great. So I just want to start by thanking you and Sharon and Ken for inviting me. It's such an honor to speak with all the other candidates. And I hadn't heard about Bike New York before this forum, but when I got invited, I started looking into what you guys are doing, and it's just Herculean what you guys are doing for cycling in the city. So huge bravo to you guys.
Thank you.
If you don't know, I'm Ira Seidman. Yes, I'm running for mayor. I'm an avid New York City bike rider, but I'm also a car owner, public transportation rider, and pedestrian. So kind of like what the other candidates were saying, I want to solve all these problems together rather than attacking them in silos. I think really they're all sort of root of one poisonous vine, which I'd love to tell you a little about later, but I'm excited to tell you about my solutions, get to know you guys a little bit better. As far as what the government can do for cycling in New York, I think, expanding protected bike lanes, you guys have heard that. And then also the city bike program is
protecting the public bike lane, the protected bike lanes.
Protecting the protected bike lanes.
These are protected bike lanes.
Let's protect the unprotected bike lanes.
Well, let's protect the protected bike lanes too.
Exactly. So, yeah, I think there are a few ways that we can do that. Most of it is sort of an order of operations for me. I think right now, you've said it a couple times tonight, we're in trench warfare. We're going one block at a time just to get one block of bike lane. It doesn't really make sense. And I think what happened is that we haven't really thought about getting around town in a very systems way. So what I would do is actually promote a lot of parking in the city. So first, what we have to do is ease the zoning laws so that more garages appear naturally. And then we also need a massive city public works project to put garages under city parks. And that'll create thousands and thousands of spots in these communities that are strapped for parking. And that'll give us the space we need to get more bike lanes, more city bike docks, and really just get more people comfortable in cycling.
So you're rearranging the parking, not net addition of parking?
I'd say net addition of parking and net addition of cycling. I don't think they're mutually exclusive. We sort of have this like tug of war going on right now. And I think we can build up, we can build under, we can build anywhere we want. This is New York. We should really be leaning into that.
Okay, all right. But you free up curb spaces with the off-street parking.
Yeah. We're gonna free up all sorts of space and we can use it how we want. I think we sort of need to reimagine getting around town altogether. So we could use like more double-decker streets, sort of like the High Line, and we can put pedestrians and cyclists up there on roads and avenues that we'd never really be able to fit a bike lane otherwise. I think we need to start using a lot more machine learning and artificial intelligence to time the red lights better. Right now, I'm hitting the brakes a lot on my bike, in my car. Doesn't really make sense. I think there's a better way we can time the lights, and we should lean into technology for that. We need to bury some highways. That's going to be expensive, take a lot of time, but it's got to start now. So I think there's a very creative way that we can solve all these problems together. It's going to start with easing zoning laws to really let the city take the shape it would naturally without these restrictions, and a leader who will sort of bring us all together.
So where do you sort of start? Like, say it's January next year and you're mayor. What does that look like? What is the Seidman? What's going on in the Seidman administration?
So here's what I'm most disappointed about, and I mentioned it earlier. There's like a root of all sort of evil and inefficiency and ineffectiveness of government. And unfortunately, I didn't hear it from any of the other candidates tonight, which is actually what I'm sort of most disappointed about this race in general. And there's actually a tremendous amount of corruption in government. The government does not actually serve the people. It's sort of designed to keep politicians in power and serve the special interests, right? And unfortunately, bike lanes and city bike and priorities that are reflected at Bike New York are not really the priority of of government right now. So to actually align the government with the people of New York, I think we actually need to decentralize power, which might be, I'd be curious to get your input on this, because I know you've had so much trouble at community board meetings. I can only imagine. I've seen those meetings. They're loud and often unproductive sometimes. So I think it's counterintuitive, but when we decentralize power, I think corruption will naturally sort of slip away, and we can find this balance between all of our interests. So that's actually my one campaign promise, is if elected, I'll send everything on my desk to referendum. And that way we can have more input from the people. And John, I didn't know you before tonight, but you are an invaluable resource for cycling in New York. I mean, you've been doing this for 30 years. You know every single bike lane on every single street. I would want to defer all my bike policy to you.
Okay, well, I can agree with that. I mean, but tell me more about the decentralization, because that's you know, the only way we've gotten progress on any of this stuff before has been through leadership that was willing to say, like, I've heard all the arguments, let's go. So how do you do that? I mean, and decentralize to who? Like, one of the things that drives me nuts in the de Blasio administration is that, you know, the police department and even individual precincts are kind of making it up as they go and enforcing what they want and interpreting it how they want, or acting or not acting. And it's pretty chaotic, you know, if you're trying to run an open street with, you know, crappy sawhorses or something, or, you know, or you just want to, you know, wonder why we went through all this, you know, battle to get the Queens Boulevard bike lane if it's looking like this all the time. So how do you see that? Like, what is the unit that you're decentralizing to?
Yeah, so the unit is all the way to New York citizens. So all 6 million registered voters, plus or minus, are going to be able to propose any solution they want on the voting system, right? And then we'll all vote on each other's ideas. So right now, we're sort of like trying to jam these projects in the back door, the room where it happens. You know, it's a few politicians are involved, and the rest of us, you know, they sort of come out to community board events and explain what they're going to do, but then they just do what they want anyway, right? So if we actually want,
you know, in California, they have that commission because, you know, people routinely vote for like tons of free stuff, and then they also vote for tax cuts. So, like, you know, I don't know, is that what the mayor has to do, is like sort it all out?
So the mayor's job is sort of like a leader, a unifier, to bring the facts before us. I think in California, they have a big problem because they send all these things to referendum and they don't have the discussions that are required to make an informed decision. They just sort of put stuff on the ballot and hope for the best. And I think of the mayor more as like
well, they put stuff on the ballot and they lobby like hell to win.
Right. So that's what I think we need to see: the lobbying and the revolving doors, the gerrymandering and the campaign donations. I think that is actually a function of centralized power. It's too easy to buy a mayor, right? Or buy a few city council people. And we sort of see the results, that bike lanes aren't being built. We have highways going through our communities where just education is mismanaged, tons of issues with the police. So I think that's all actually a result of the corruption itself. So rather than, you know, just decentralizing blindly and just taking whatever proposal comes up on the online voting system, I think we should actually be having these discussions every night. This forum is what democracy looks like to me. And I think the more people who are involved and coming out and we can find the common ground, it'll actually be huge for realigning the government with the interests of New Yorkers. All
right, cool. Ira, we appreciate your time. I apologize for the short time window given the hour, but thank you for closing us off with some fresh stuff, some fresh point of view. And we will see you on the street, hopefully on your bike, not parking your car, but it is what it is. So, all the best in the campaign.
All right. Thank you so much for having me, and keep up the great work.
Okay. Thanks, Ira. Take care.